All right, guys, got a bit of a new project today. Seems like I'm never out of things to do with this stuff, which is great because it's so much fun, anyways. But we got an old school Savage 110 in 243 Winchester. So again, another 243. This thing is about 30 years old, and its accuracy has fallen off. So it's on the chopping block in terms of rebarreling this thing. But before I did that, I thought it would be worth doing a full barrel scrub, bore scrub, just get this thing completely cleaned out, as clean as possible, and then run some reloads and some factory ammo down through it, and see what the performance is, after scrubbing this thing out. So this was a really bad copper fouled out barrel. I mean, real bad. And basically, I wanted to just kind of review that whole process really quick. Maybe that'll help somebody out. Maybe it will help somebody not to get discouraged when it seems like it never ends. Sometimes these things get fouled out really bad, and it just takes time and solvent to just do the job. So basically what you do is you use like a Barnes, I got a CR10 here. I put that, and of course I use a bore guide, but I put that on a nylon. It's important to use nylon, not a copper brush, but a nylon brush. And then I basically run this guy down through there, get it nice and lathered up, lots of passes. Let it sit 10, 20, 30 minutes, and then you run a patch down through there. If your patch comes out blue or discolored, like, Statue of Liberty, it's oxidized copper. So the Barnes is doing its job. It also tells you that you're not done yet. So you keep doing that. You keep repeating that process until those patches come out clean. Once they're clean, you just run a little bit of like Hoppy's number 9 oil, just a gun oil down through there, kind of stop that reaction, keep wiping it down, get everything cleaned out, and you're done. This one took me forever to get this scrubbed out. I think there's been a bunch of Molly, those silver-tipped Nosler Molly bullets that were run down through this thing, because it was really tough to scrub this out. Anyways, got everything all cleaned out. Now we want to go to the range, shake this gun out. So I'm going to run some 80 grain Sierra reloads through it, and also I've got a box of factory ammo, fire down through this thing. I figured before I rip this barrel off and do any work, I might as well see what it's doing now after everything is really clean as best as I can get it. But just to kind of review this thing again, this is a 91 Savage 110. Back then everything was long action, although this one's 243. What I'm doing is I'm thinking about, if I do rebarrel this, I'm thinking about a Magnum on caliber on this thing. So 300 Win Mag, 7mm mag. I don't know, maybe even one of these new, Gucci chamberings to like a 28 Nosler or something. I don't know. But it's definitely not going to be a 243. We got enough of those. So I don't know, maybe a 308. I don't know. Actually, if you have an opinion on that, leave me some comments. I'm open to that. We can kind of debate through, what to do with this thing. But first things first, take this guy to the range and do some shooting with it. So stay tuned. That'll be the next clip. All right, guys, we got this Savage, working this Savage today. Started out at 50 yards with those 100 grain Core-Lokt factory ammo. I might send one more of them down here at 100, but I'm going to switch right over to 80 and try to shoot a 5-shot group over here, see what we get. So this thing is falling apart. All right, let's see what we get. All right, guys, back at the bench here. So just for some test shots, I don't think this gun is that bad, to be honest with you. Here's the last 4 shots I took with 80 grains. Now this is just throwing together some max loads of IMR 4064, with those 80 grain Sierra soft points. I'm not going to tell you what the load charge was because I did get some pressure. I got some pretty flat primers on this, so it was hot. Those were hot loads. That's enough. But basically just started off at, 50 yards, some sight-in type stuff here. Got this all kind of figured out. I actually tried to move over here to this card, and I shot twice, and it just missed the card. So I really didn't know where it was hitting. Moved back over here and then shot this group. So all in all, this old school 243 still has it going. But enough about that. I discovered a problem, so I want to share that with you guys. Now, this being an old Savage, right? They are like notorious for heavy bolts. See if we can get a better view here. Right, heavy bolts and bolt lift, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And this guy is especially crappy. Now, when I first got this out of my gun cabinet, the first thing I did was tear this bolt down and basically cleaned everything out, re-lubricated everything, and it did get better. I was like, oh, that's not too bad. Went out there and started shooting this thing, and I'm telling you what, as soon as it started heating up, I could not, it was like I had to stand up and reef on this thing to get it open. And even right now, after coming back from the bench, I mean, oh man, that's a tight bolt. So I started looking at this. What the heck is going on? And what I noticed was, I don't know if you can see that. Look at this galling happen on the bolt lug. I mean, that's pretty soft metal, right? And that has got a pretty heavy groove in it right now. It's like, what in the heck is that? I guess we'll start with, and this is kind of just for educational purposes. If you got an old Savage and you're getting a really tight bolt like that and some damage on that lug, the problem is this bolt, right? This screw right here, right? This thing acts as a poor design, right? So this bolt goes all the way through here in the lower receiver, right at the gas port here, and that is what is causing this groove. It's the end of the bolt. As you put this thing in here, as you turn the bolt, the lug goes vertical, right on top of that bolt head, or not bolt head, but right on top of the end of the threads there. So this guy has protruded. Yeah, you can just feel it. It has protruded into the action, and every time, especially when this thing heated up, really started to kind of see that that bolt lift become a problem. So just to kind of verify, once I got home, I have heard of this problem before, so I wasn't like surprised, but I'd never had it happen to me on this gun. But just loosen this guy up a little bit, put this in. Piece of cake. So from here, I mean, everybody knows they have a heavy bolt, but it's usually that. This guy's clear, right? It's usually not on the initial lift. It's that secondary caulking, right? Once you get it up to the top, it's like to force it up into the cocked position. It gets a little heavy at the end there. So anyways, what we'll do is pull this bolt out of here, and I'm just going to take a little file and knock the end of it off, shorten it up a little bit. That's it. It's an old school stock on an old school gun. It's like, these things change every time. This thing's been sitting in my gun case for like 20 years. So it's probably been sitting in there shrinking. I don't know. But that bolt, when I tore this thing apart, pulled the action and everything to clean this guy up, scrub it out, and I put it back together, torqued it. It was enough torque at this time to make that bolt become a problem. So I guess that's where I'm going to end this thing. As for the future of this guy, I don't know what I'm going to do with this yet. More than likely, I'm going to rebuild this thing, send this action off to local gun smith and have it trued up, and think about rebarreling this thing. But I got to be honest with you, this is a cool old gun. I shot a lot of deer with this thing. So it's good to kind of get this thing back out and get it shooting. I'll probably do some reloads for it and stuff too, while I still have it as a 243, but I have enough 243s. It's time to think about maybe something else, maybe a Magnum. So, hey, thanks for watching. Again, if you have an idea or a suggestion on what Magnum caliber, let me know. I'm all ears. Thanks, guys.